Well, well, well. Another terrible ass show tonight. The Godfather Soldiers and Swimming. I'm gonna give all of you my top tonight is called Damage, Dull, and Destruction in Dallas, Texas. Tonight. Will Crown Jewel be good this Saturday? I'm gonna give all you my predictions. Before I do, I'm gonna show a little bit of music. I'm gonna show this see over to show the song from the Last Dragon soundtrack called Star by Alfie. So stick around, right back. I'm getting music playing. I'll be right back. Cam back. All you just heard a little song from the last Dragon movie soundtrack by Alfie Silas called Star, and I'm making um changing my title tonight. Right now it's called it's not no longer damage damage and dull and destruction in Dallas, Texas. It will be damage, dull, and destruction in Dallas, Texas. So now it's called dull and damaging in Dallas, Texas. And Will Crown and I said Will Crown Jewel will be good this Saturday in my predictions. Yeah, I'm changing right now. So let's get start with the show tonight. Okay, then now forever together, the WWE leads us in the show. The WWE drone flies us over to Dallas, Texas before we go into the American Airlines Arena. Last week on Raw, Roman Reigns returned to save the Usos from being destroyed by the Vision. Roman Reigns kicks off Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns heads to the ring to a big ovation. OTC won. Yeah, OTC won. That's what he's calling himself. Walks around the ring and looks very somber. The music stops and the crowd starts to sing Reigns' name. Reigns closes his eyes and soaks it in before an OTC chant picks up. Reigns says, "Dallas, Texas, acknowledge me." The crowd cheers. Bronson Reed comes out to the stage alongside Paul Heyman, puts on his head down in frustration. The crowd boos the tribal thief. Reed and Heyman stay on the stage and stare at Reigns. Reigns asks if they're going to say anything. Heyman says he doesn't know who he has been. Wise man named Reigns since he broke Heyman's heart about public speaking. But Reigns has ruined the entire shtick. Heyman loudly says, "Dallas, Texas, acknowledge your tribal thief." Nobody's gonna acknowledge him. Reed puts his finger in the air. Heyman tells Reigns to acknowledge the one man on the face of the planet whom he fears in his heart, Big Bronson Reed. Reed smiles. Heyman says Reigns knows he fears him. As well as he should. Not once in his entire life he has been beaten to such a degree that he had to leave on a stretcher. Not once in his football games and a no high family. The barbecues did Reigns leave on a stretcher. In Reigns' entire career, long before he was the tribal chief, with Heyman at the sight of his greatness. Now did a once man beat him to such a degree that he was placed on a stretcher, taken out of the arena, and taken all the way to the hospital. Reed takes the microphone and the crowd boos. Reed says Reigns' father Sika, after 45 years in the business, was never stretchered out. His uncle Alpha, after 45 years in business, was never stretchered out. How does Reigns think they feel as they look down on him being stretchered out by his hands? Reigns says Reed doesn't know his father or his uncle. The dumbass next to Reed did. What does Heyman think his dad would say? His dad would say, "Fight him now." Reigns says he says he wants to do this now. Heyman holds Reed's arm and warns him that this is a trap. Reed need to do this on his time. Reigns says he done this before and he knows what Heyman is saying. There are no wise words. There are words of a coward. Heyman is telling Reed that he is on the tribal chief's time. Reigns is his levels above him. It is always time. However, Reed wants to do this. He'll always be his tribal chief. Heyman continues to whisper to Reed as the crowd chants OTC. Heyman gives his compliments because it sounds like it came from a wise man. Heyman says they'll do this on Saturday night at Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia. And everyone knows that Bronson Reed is see. Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is he's an native of Australia. He's a Australian native. It'll be a match that Reed has never been defeated in. Reed is so dominant in that match that WWE recruited him from Australia. This Saturday night, it will be Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. Crowd isn't happy. Reigns sneers and says, "Too easy, I accept." Heyman and Reed go to leave. So Reigns says they walk then like the tough guys, but they are leaving like bitches. Reed is infuriated by that and charges down to the ring. Reed and Reigns start to brawl. Reed quickly sends Reigns out of the ring, and Reed goes outside to get him, but Reigns catches him with a Superman punch, knocking Reed out over the barricade. Reigns clearly starts to the commentary table, but security and WWE officials run down to stop him. Reigns gets around them and starts to brawl with Reed. Reigns is pulled away, but he breaks free and hits Reed with another Superman punch. Reed looks out on his feet. Reed is held back as Reigns poses on the turnbuckles and points to the sky. Pre-show rival CM Punk is shown walking backstage. Lyra Valkyrie is shown entering the arena. She'll battle Roxanne Perez. Io Sky is walking backstage. Video last Monday on Raw, the Kabuki Warriors attacked Rhea Ripley. Io Sky ran down to help, so Asuka gave her the poison mist. Later in the night, Sky told Rhea Ripley they'll battle Kabuki Warriors at Crown Jewel. Backstage segment, Asuka is yelling at Raw General GM Adam Pearce. Asuka demands a match with Kairi Sane and Io Sky. Pearce agrees and says he'll need a drink. Kairi Sane walks up to Asuka. Asuka tells her that she'll be battling Sky. Sane gets choked up and says she doesn't want to fight Sky, but she thinks she can bring her back to the family. Asuka slaps her in the face and says the match is happening. Sane says she understands. Asuka says she'll be a good girl and yells at her to follow her. Sane looks broken. Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch heads to the ring. She'll battle Mexican Pre next. Commercial break. Airplay last Monday on Raw. Becky Lynch attacked Mexican Pre and Akira Tozawa after Tozawa laughed at her misfortunes with AJ. Well, that's too bad for Becky, isn't it? My untitled match: Women's Intercontinental Champion, the Man Whore Becky Lynch versus Mexican Pre. Referees Jessica Kai. The bell rings and they circle the ring before locking up. Lynch pulls the hair and backs her into the corner. Dupree spins her around, so Lynch shoves her a few times. Dupree shoves her back and tells her to bring it. Dupree hits an arm drag and applies an arm bar. Lynch fights up and slings her down before applying the wrist lock. Lynch hits a takedown and applies a front face lock. Dupree fights up and whips her off, but Lynch connects with a shoulder tackle. Lynch pie faces her a few times. Dupree punches back, ducks a clothesline, but Lynch catches her and on a rebound with a stiff clothesline. Lynch puts her in the corner and stomps her down before getting the referee in the referee's face. Lynch whips Dupree in the corner and charges, but Dupree moves. Dupree sends her to the corner, catches her with a Thesz press followed by a mistimed drop kick that hits Lynch on the knees. Lynch rolls out of the ring, so Dupree hits her with a somersault senton off the apron. Dupree is fired up. Lynch quickly props up to throws her into the barricade before hitting a exploder into the barricade. Commercial break. We come back from the break to see Lynch sizing Dupree up. Dupree fights back at her with some forearms thrust into the chest. They go back and forth with strikes before Lynch hits a strike combo. Lynch hits the ropes, but Dupree takes her out with a bicycle kick. Dupree hits a pair of diving clotheslines, followed by a knee to the head. Dupree avalanches her in the corner, hits a fisherman suplex, followed by a kip up. Dupree pulls the straps down and goes for a spin kick, but Lynch blocks it. Dupree twists out and applies an ankle lock. Lynch rolls through and pulls Dupree into the turnbuckles. Lynch viciously knees her in the face, and Dupree looks knocked out. Lynch slaps her and climbs to the middle of the turnbuckle to punch away at her. Lynch counters and hit with a set-out powerbomb for a near fall. Lynch Dupree's heads to the top rope, and Lynch sweeps her feet. Lynch climbs to the second top rope and shakes off some strikes from Dupree. Lynch connects with a suplex, covers her for a 2 count. Lynch applies for it and goes for a cross arm breaker, but Dupree gets out and applies an ankle lock. Lynch rolls her up for a 2 count. Dupree fights back and hits a German suplex, followed by a spin kick. 1-2. Lynch barely kicks out. The crowd is going for wild. Dupree goes to the top rope and hits a crossbody block. Lynch rolls through and grabs the tights for a 2 count. Dupree quickly rolls Lynch up and gets her feet on the ropes for a near fall. Lynch is furious and kicks her in the face. Lynch gets Dupree at ringside and bounces her off the commentary table. The crowd chants, "This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome." Lynch bounces her off the apron and sends her into the barricade. Lynch slings her out into the barricade and again gets her in the ring to yell at the referee. Lynch goes to the outside and bounces Dupree's face off the ring steps. Lynch leans her onto the Prime hydration station and hits her with a big Prime bottle. Lynch gets in the ring and gets in the referee's face again. Lynch goes back to ringside and it says she's the greatest before bouncing Dupree's face off the commentary table. Lynch stands on the table and taunts the crowd. Dupree rolls into the ring and the referee counts Lynch out. Winner by count out, Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree quickly runs out of the ring and celebrates on stage. Dupree is in disbelief. Lynch looks devastated by the loss. Got what she deserved. Like, he got what she deserved tonight. Backstage segment. Roman Reigns is walking backstage when the Usos walk up to him. Jimmy cannot believe they walked up to they believe they talk about their uncles Alpha and Sika. Jimmy starts to say they are going to help, but Jay interjects and says that he got Roman Reigns. Reigns says that Jay isn't holding things down. Who is speaking at the top of the hour? Jay says CM Punk is. Reigns says him. Jay knows what he has to do and walks off. Reigns says to Jimmy that he sees everything. What is it a problem to take advice from him? Gorilla position segment. Lyra is warming up when Bayley asks to accompany her. Bayley is in a very chipper mood. Valkyrie agrees to let Bayley come into the ring with her. Lyra, Valkyrie, and Bayley make their entrance. Valkyrie will battle Roxanne Perez next. Commercial break. NXT Showdown featuring NXT versus TNA Wrestling will take place tomorrow night on CW, 8 p.m. Eastern. Man, they are desperate. It's coming just like WWE versus WCW again. The invasion angle in this one. Replay last Monday on Raw. Lyra Valkyrie and Bayley were beaten up by Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. Bayley then snapped and took Perez and Rodriguez out. Lyra Valkyrie with Bayley versus Roxanne Perez with Raquel Rodriguez. Referees Danilo Fibio. The bell rings and Roxanne Perez shows Valkyrie. Valkyrie hits the headlock takeover. Perez fights up and takes her down. After some chain wrestling, Valkyrie shoved her down and talked some trash. Perez slaps her in the face, so they brawl to the corner. Perez kicks Valkyrie in the head and slings her down by the hair. Valkyrie trips up and applies a front face lock for a 2 count. Valkyrie and Perez have counters for their counters. Valkyrie takes her down and hits the basement dropkick for a 2 count. Valkyrie applies a waist lock, but Perez slides out and shoves her. Perez boots her back and goes for a second rope for a diving knee to the back of the neck. Perez rolls her to the apron and grabs her arm. Perez bends the arm over to the bottom turnbuckle connector and stomps her. Bayley looks worried. Commercial break. Back from break, Perez has Perez on her shoulders, but Perez slides off and viciously attacks the injured arm. Valkyrie blocks a kick and hits a German suplex. Valkyrie gets fired up and hits a pair of clotheslines, followed by some strikes. Valkyrie hits a Northern Light suplex before rolling through the Fisherman suplex to pick up a 2 count. Valkyrie powers her up and for a Nightwing, but Perez counters up for a roll up. They trade pins before Valkyrie hits a spin kick. Valkyrie climbs to the ropes, but Raquel Rodriguez distracts the referee. Perez attacks Valkyrie and goes for a leg sweep off the ropes. Valkyrie holds Valkyrie and Perez hits the mat hard. Valkyrie hits a moonsault for a 2 count. Bayley cheers Valkyrie on, so Rodriguez boots her down. Valkyrie hits Rodriguez with a wrecking ball dropkick. Perez connects with a suicide dive into a tornado DDT on Valkyrie on the floor. Perez gets her in the ring and hits a pop rocks for the win. Winning by pinfall, Roxanne Perez. Bayley is furious and snaps to the aggressive side. Bayley pulls Valkyrie up the aisleway to pursue Rodriguez and Perez. What is up with Bayley, man? Next Monday, Raw will start at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific from Perth, Australia. Man, it's unbelievable. The history of John Cena versus AJ Styles, now both in the twilight of their careers. They have one final showdown in Saturday in Perth, Australia, at WWE Crown Jewel. John Cena will be seeking his 100th PLA victory at Crown Jewel. He is the second all-time to The Undertaker, who has 107. Backstage interview. Jackie Redmond is going to interview AJ Styles, but is immediately interrupted by Judgment Day. Intercontinental and AAA Mega Champion Dirty Dum Dum says Styles has no chance beating John Cena when he couldn't beat him. Rusev couldn't beat him, which is why he is still champion. World Tag Team Champion Finn Balor says he heard AJ Styles and Dragon Lee want a shot at the tag titles. Balor says, as an old friend of Styles, that he is making a big mistake. Styles says that they're tough when it's 3-on-1. He'll get Dragon Lee and someone else to talk to him, Adam Pearce, but about a 6-man tag tonight. Styles walks off. JD McDonald says they should have jumped him right now. And we see a backstage segment. CM Punk is walking backstage. He'll return to Raw next. He walks by Rusev, who was arguing with Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. Then go to commercial break. They'll show off start times for Crown Jewel, WWE Crown Jewel around the world. Backstage segment. Penta is walking backstage when AJ Styles and Dragon Lee walk up to him. AJ Styles says he heard Penta is going after the Intercontinental Championship. he should team with them tonight, and he gets his hands on Dum Dum. They are interrupted by a ruckus. Bailey and Lyra Valkyrie are viciously attacking Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. WWE officials break them up, and Raw GM Adam Pearce nearly blows a gasket, screaming for order. John Kramer, a professional bull riders at ringside. Hudson Bolton is another bull rider there. Rocker Steiner, world champion rider, is shown. Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are at ringside. CM Punk returns to Raw. CM Punk comes to a huge ovation. Punk asks, "Is it great to be alive on Monday night in Dallas, Texas, or what?" Punk says the crowd is loud and likes to sing. Punk starts to sing deep in the heart of Texas, and the crowd finishes it. Punk thanks them for a big warm welcome back for WWE for AJ Lee. A loud AJ Lee chant picks up. They're right around the corner from Crown Jewel in Perth. They see Cody Rhodes take on Seth Rollins. One of the reasons he hasn't been here in 2 weeks is that he promised to keep his nose out of Rhodes' business. The match is for brand dominance and ego. Punk says he's also been celebrating with his wife since they beat Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch at WrestlePalooza. That's good. He started the year by defeating Seth Rollins on a January 6, 2025 edition of Raw on Netflix, and will end the year by beating Seth Rollins. There's a sign that says he deserves the world title. Punk says he doesn't deserve it. He's earned it. He has Rollins' number. He'll get his world title back. LA Knight's mute theme hits, and the megastar heads to the ringside. LA Knight says, "Let me talk to you." Punk says Knight is interrupting him. Knight says he came in and blew the doors off the place, but he hasn't gotten what he deserves. Knight says Punk has said some things he agrees with, but he doesn't want to point out some omissions. Punk is the creator and owner of the pipe bomb, but lately he is known as a husband. The world wants and needs love, but as a champion, Punk is trash. Punk was champion for 5 minutes at SummerSlam 2025. At SummerSlam, Rollins pinned Punk. At Clash in Paris 2025, Rollins pinned Punk. Knight asked Punk if he knows who's never been pinned by Rollins. Punk says it's probably the guy who has never been World Heavyweight Champion. The crowd gasps. Knight says he's telling Punk that the line to Rollins starts with him. Knight has pinned Rollins and will do it again to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Main event, Jey Uso's music hits, and when he comes down to the aisle rather than through the crowd, Uso gets in the ring and says he's going to stop Knight because he is thinking clearly. Uso says he's the one who never got his rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. Uso is up next for the World Heavyweight Championship. Knight says that he has his world title and lost it. Uso has had his time and lost it. It is Knight's time. Uso thinks he lost the title because he's not Roman enough. But he should carve his own path. Uso should focus on the tag titles after last week. He should stop sucking up at being a tag team. Jimmy Uso walks down to the ring. Jey super kicks Knight down, and as Jimmy gets in the ring, Punk says he's assuming he's cool with the Usos. Punk understands Jey's passion, but he'll have to go get behind him for a World Heavyweight Championship. Jey says Knight had a point, and he should focus on being a tag team. Punk likes Jey Uso, but he doesn't like Little Roman. Jey goes after Punk, but Jimmy holds him back. Jey whiffs on a super kick, so Punk punches him down. Punk tells Jey to stay out of his business. Jey super kicks Punk down and helps his brother to his feet. The Usos walk off together. The video, Io Sky says what happened between her and Asuka isn't Rhea Ripley's fault. It's Asuka's. Sky owes Asuka everything. She was like a big sister. Sky wanted to be like her, but her jealousy ruined everything. Asuka was one of the reasons of one of the reasons she became a champion. But not only the reason Ripley was right. Asuka said only wants what's best for her. A real family member wouldn't tell her who to be friends with. A real family member wouldn't take credit for what she has accomplished. They are not family anymore. Sky is starting to find out who she is. At Crown Jewel, Asuka will find out she's not raised for Io. Io makes her entrance. She'll battle Kairi Sane next. Then we go to commercial break. Later tonight, the Usos will battle CM Punk and LA Knight in the main event of Raw. Io Sky versus Kairi Sane with Asuka. Referee is Jessica Carr. Before the match begins, Io Sky hits Asuka with a suicide dive and punches away at her. Kairi Sane pulls her off and gets her in the ring. Asuka tells her to get Sky. The bell rings and Zane punches away at Sky. Zane looks conflicted as she backs up. Zane charges, but Sky drops her on the apron. Zane shoulders Sky and heads to the top rope. Zane jumps over Sky as she moves. Sky hits the ropes and rolls over Zane. Sky counters a head scissor and lands on her feet. Zane pushes Sky off. They each attempt a dropkick but fail to connect. They're at a stalemate. Sky extends her arms to Zane. Zane looks conflicted until Asuka shouts at her. Zane goes after Sky, but Sky does some flips and drop kicks her out of the ring. Sky then hits Zane with a side moonsault. Then go to commercial break. Back from the break, Zane is punching away at Sky. Zane fights back and puts her foot on the rope. Zane knocks her away and applies a head scissor while hanging over the top ropes. Zane looks conflicted as she stands on the apron. Zane goes to the top rope and she hits a diving clothesline. The crowd is waving around their phone flashlights for some reason. Zane applies a Boston Crab, but Sky rolls through. It's a double stomp. Zane quickly takes down Sky. Sky hits a pair of Showtime uppercuts followed by a flapjack. Zane reverses a whip to the corner, but Sky twists through and punches her back. Sky goes to the top rope and hits a missile dropkick before popping up and to a huge ovation. Zane avoids a bullet train attack. Sky sidesteps Zane and hits a bridging German suplex for a near fall. Sky goes for a double underhook facebuster, but Zane lands on her feet and attacks her for a 2 count. Zane hits a vicious Alabama slam and goes to the top rope. Zane looks near tears and she goes for an insane elbow, but Sky gets the feet up. Sky connects with a bullet train attack. Sky steps up and goes to the top rope. Asuka gets on the apron, so Sky gets down and kicks her in the face. Zane attacks Sky from behind and rolls her up. Asuka holds Zane's arm for leverage to pick up the win, winning by pinfall Kairi Sane. Asuka attacks Sky from behind and holds her up for Zane to hitting a spinning back fist. Zane is crying. Asuka holds up Sky as Zane hits an insane elbow. Kabuki Warriors pose, but it's clear that Zane is not on the same page as Asuka. It's terrible. Okay, video part 2, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins build. Rollins sacrificed so much help to help Rhodes stop Roman Reigns, but less than 6 months after riding WWE Reigns, Rhodes lets him back. Rollins doesn't think Rhodes deserves to be the company's leader. Vision's locker room. Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch is pacing and talking about her loss to Maxine Dupree in a psychologically agitated manner. Warrior Champion Rollins and Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman are annoying her. Rollins is setting his watch off. Lynch walks off. Rollins tells Heyman they need to talk. Rollins says he has to win on Saturday. Heyman says he will. Rollins asks, what if I don't? Heyman says it's an impossibility. Rollins asks what happens if he loses. Heyman says he'll give it to him. Rollins will lose the locker room as well as the faith of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Rollins will throw away what they have built since WrestleMania. Rollins is the face of Raw on Netflix. Heyman tells him to do himself a favor and not lose. Rollins pulls him back and says Heyman left someone out of the equation, himself. What happens if he loses? Heyman says Rollins is a secret weapon. Rollins tells him if you give him a straight answer, Heyman says if you lose to Cody, at some point I will have to ask myself why I picked you. I have to ask myself why I picked you over Roman Reigns. In backstage segment, Jey Uso is fired up with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Jey asks why his brother helped him. He's trying to get the World Heavyweight Championship, but he's now in a tag match. Jimmy is protecting CM Punk. Jey says Jimmy is better pick his side. Jey walks off. Jimmy says he sees Roman Reigns pulling his strings and messing with Jey's head. Jimmy isn't like Reigns. Jey is nothing like Reigns. Reigns looks flabbergasted. Reigns knows Jimmy isn't hearing him, but he needs to listen. When his brother won the World Heavyweight Championship, he became more like Reigns and more like Jimmy. If he wants to help his brother, sometimes he needs to get out of his way. Reigns walks off and Jimmy throws his hat down. Penta makes his entrance and we have a 6-man tag team match next. Then we go to commercial break. AJ Styles start to talk but is immediately cut off. And we'll see a 6-man tag team match. Penta, Dragon Lee, and the phenomenal AJ Styles versus the Judgment Day World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD Dunn and Intercontinental Champion and AAA Mega Champion Dirty Dum Dum. Referee is Eddie Orengo. It will be AJ Styles starting the match against Finn Balor. They circle around the ring and lock up. Balor hooks a side headlock and clinches it in. AJ whips him off and does a leapfrog and a drop down before hitting a drop kick that sends Balor out of the ring. JD McDonald runs in, but Penta super kicks him out of the ring. Dragon Lee runs in and drop kicks Mysterio out of the ring. Styles hits with a forearm plancha and hits a McDonald with a plancha. Lee takes that Mysterio out with a somersault senton. Penta Styles Lee do a Penta's swaggy walk around the ring. Commercial break. Back from the break, Lee sends McDonald to the corner and hits a dragon running boot. Penta hits a handstand slingshot drop kick as Lee super kicks Balor down. Styles runs in, picks up a 2 count. Lee tags in and chops McDonald's chest. Lee sends McDonald to the corner and blocks a boot for hitting a nasty dragon screw on the ropes. Lee backs up and hits a corner basement drop kick for a 2 count. Lee goes to the top rope, but McDonald drop kicks him out of midair. Mysterio tags into a big ovation. Mysterio punches away at Lee and hits a spinning elbow for a 2 count. Mysterio mounts Lee and punches away at him. The crowd sings to Mysterio so he poses. Mysterio punches Lee and whips him to a hard corner, bringing him to his knees. Mysterio hooks the head and starts up the 3 amigos. 1 amigo, 2 amigos. Mysterio poses and Lee catches him with a inside cradle. for a 2 count. Mysterio stops Lee from making a tag and powers him to his corner. Madonna tags in and hits a snapmare. Madonna tags in and hits a slingshot stomp. Mysterio tags in, hits a slingshot somersault senton. Madonna tags in and hits a springboard, sending moonsault for a 2 count. The Judgment Day poses in the corner. Then go to commercial break. Back from the break, Lee catches Mysterio with a beautiful sit-out powerbomb. Both men are down. Penta and McDonald tag in. Penta clotheslines McDonald and knocks Balor off the apron. Penta hits a running Hurricanrana on McDonald and hits a Mysterio with a reverse sling blade. Penta kicks Balor and rolls her up Mysterio for rolling a DDT on Balor. Penta sings for the end, but Penta charges, but McDonald hits him with a Spanish fly. Styles and Mysterio tag in. Styles hits him with a strike combo, followed by a corner clothesline. Mysterio gets out of the Ishigori, but he can't avoid a torture rack bomb. 1-2, McDonald breaks it up. Lee clotheslines McDonald out of the ring, and Balor sends Lee out. And Penta attacks Balor before hitting him with a somersault senton. In the ring, Styles grabs Mysterio and he holds the ropes. Mysterio holds shot Styles and drop kicks him into the position. Mysterio sets up for a 619, but he falls in fear when Rusev walks up down the ringside. Mysterio grabs Mysterio. Mysterio ducks his Penta, goes for a super kick, and Penta hits Rusev in the ring instead. In the ring, Styles corners a roll up from Dunn and hits a Styles Clash for the win. Wins by pinfall. Penta, Dragon Lee, and AJ Styles. Dragon Lee grabs the microphone, stands on the commentary table. This match at Crown Jewel against John Cena doesn't need a story. It writes itself. They will all dance for one last time and leave it all in the ring. It will kick ass. This Saturday, Crown Jewel will be John Cena against AJ Styles. The commentary team runs down the rest of the card. Backstage segment, LA Knight is warming up when CM Punk comes up to him. CM Punk says he doesn't want this match because it doesn't get him closer for the World Heavyweight Championship. Knight says neither of them wants to match. You gotta do it. Knight tells Punk not to get pinned and walks off. Uso make their entrance. The main event is next. No commercial break. Next week on Raw, Intercontinental Championship Dirty Dum Dum versus Penta. Bayley, Lyra Valkyrie versus Judgment Day. The Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. Tag team match, Usos versus LA Knight and CM Punk. Referees Chad Patton. CM Punk and LA Knight get into LA Knight get in the ring and attack the Usos. Punk takes it to Jimmy, who super kicked him earlier tonight. And LA Knight takes it to Jay, who super kicked him earlier tonight. Jay uppercuts Knight, but Knight comes back with a jawbreaker. Knight stomps Jay down in the corner and backs up for a running knee. Knight aggressively tags CM Punk in. Punk wrenches Jay's arm and yanks it on it. Punk chops Knight to tag in. Knight wrenches the arm, but Jay gets away and tags Jimmy in. Jimmy runs in, and Knight hits a hip toss. Jimmy chops him back and goes for a suplex. Knight lands on his feet and hits a net breaker. Jimmy sends Knight into the ropes and charges, but referee stomps him. Jay hits a Knight from behind and tags in. Jay punches Knight at ringside and whips him hard into the ring steps. Then we go to commercial break. Back for the final break of the evening. Jay keeps Knight in his corner. Jay tags in Jimmy in. Knight looks at Punk before hitting Knight with a forearm to the jaw. Jay tags in. The Usos hit a backbreaker diving chop combo. Jay looks at Punk before hitting Knight with a running hip attack. Jay sizes Knight up before going for another running hip attack, but Knight moves and hits a leaping neckbreaker. Punk and Jimmy tag in. Punk hits a pair of clotheslines before sending him into the ropes for a leaping calf kick. Punk hits a running knee to the jaw followed by a short arm clothesline. Punk goes for a top rope and does a yeet before hitting a diving elbow drop. Punk takes his shirt off and signals for the end. Punk goes for a goal sleep on Jimmy, but Jimmy slides off and hits a super kick. Jimmy tags in and goes to the top rope for a Uso splash. 1-2. Knight breaks up the pin. Knight blocks a super kick from Jimmy and goes for a blunt force trauma. Jimmy shoves Knight into the J. Knight quickly hits Jimmy with a BFT. Knight super kicks Knight and Punk rolls Jay up for a 2 count. Jay hits the ropes, but hits Punk with a spear. Jay goes for a top rope and he comes down to knock Knight off the apron. Punk lifts Jay and hits GTS. Knight blind tigers in and covers Jay for a win. Punk is not happy. Wins by pinfall, LA Knight and CM Punk. Knight backs up the aisleway and stares at a furious CM Punk. Oh boy. Who knows how this is going to turn up this Sunday? Who knows? Who really knows, huh? Dull and very who knows? Now you know what else? What some news news I just heard. I mean, I've been hearing that that The Rock that Triple H might be removed as the CEO of WWE, and we get and replace him with a new CEO. The Rock's having The Rock's good friend Brian Gervitz. Yeah, Brian Gervitz. That's gonna turn a little bit of a blind eye for WWE. Brian Gervitz. That's unbelievable. I mean, and what about what's this I hear about WWE having WrestleMania in 2027 for years to come and not do it for the United States. I mean that's really stupid. Really stupid. I mean, what's their assumption with Saudi Arabia? This is gonna really be a failure for WWE. It's gonna be out of business for good, and we really need a new CEO and a new chairman. This is dumb. I mean, gonna lose a lot of money. All that's dumb. So that's and that'll do it. Now it's time for my predictions for Crown Jewel. Okay, WWE Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes, SmackDown's undisputed World Wrestling Entertainment Champion versus Seth Rollins, Raw's world heavyweight champion. Raw's world heavyweight champion. I'm gonna go with Cody Rhodes. Fuck Seth Rollins. Stephanie Vicaire, Raw Women's World Champion. Raw Women's World Champion. Raw Women's World Champion, and Stephanie Stratton, SmackDown Women's Champion. Singles match for the WWE Women's Crown Jewel Championship. I'm gonna go with Stephanie Vicaire. And let's see, John Cena versus AJ Styles. I'm gonna say John Cena. That's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be one good final. John Cena's final match, and I would say that John Cena is gonna hug it out with AJ Styles. John Cena and AJ Styles are two of the best wrestlers. Two of the best all-time wrestlers in WWE. Best all-time wrestlers. They dominated the pro wrestling in the 2000s. Because Cena was in WWE. AJ Styles was in Impact Wrestling. Then we'll see a little tag team match: Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. I say that Io Sky is gonna turn heel in line with back with Kabuki Warriors, and really was all an act. And Asuka wasn't really and Asuka didn't really and Io Sky wasn't really blind. Didn't that wasn't really missed. That was just like some kind of juice or something that she blindsided Io Sky. That mean it was just an act. I mean, I say that Io Sky turns heels in line with Kabuki Warriors, turns her back on Rhea Ripley, and lines with Asuka and Kairi. I say this it must be a setup here. It really wasn't really a tag team match all along. It was just a double cross. And we'll see an Australian street fight: Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. And I'm say Roman Reigns, but I feel like who knows if Bronson Reed might get this match. Who knows? And then, and that's it. That'll do it. And I want to know it's time for something I like to do. It's time for
thanks to this waterfront hotel on Booking.com, even Yankees fans are loving Boston.
Oh, no. We're keeping tabs on our rivals. We love Boston.
it's time for Justin's Time History, all the wrestling birthdays, pop culture, and all that stuff. All you hear the theme from Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Celebrated its 40th anniversary on July 3rd, 2025. The movie was released July 3rd, 1985. So let's go to Saturday. Last Saturday, October the 4th. Linda McMahon, Mr. McMahon's wife, she turned 77 last Saturday. Abyss, Chris Parks, some of you know Chris Parks, very known as the Monster Abyss from TNA. He turned 52 last Saturday. Chief J Strombo turned 97 last Saturday. His real name is Joseph Luke Sharper. He died on October 3rd, 2012 in Atlanta, Georgia. And Bobby Fulton, some of you may know who he is. He turned 64 last Saturday. And let's see, Saturday. Let's see. Okay, Friday Night Titans hosted by Roddy Piper took over the show with all the heels everyone. Yeah, Roddy Piper, Cowboy Bob Orton hosted this edition of Friday Night Titans. Bobby Ray Mouse Jimmy Hart joined the show. And pop culture history. A couple of movies released on that day, Friday, October the 4th. Movie called Dream Child starring Peter Gallagher. Commando starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Supporting cast includes Ray Don Chong and Alyssa Milano for TV's Who's the Boss and Charm. And supporting late Bill Paxton was in that movie. Jagged Edge starring Glenn Close and Jeff Bridges, very good movie. Mishima in Life in 4 Chapters, a little Japanese little biographical film. Sweet Dreams starring Jessica Lange and Ed Harris, and John Goodman was also in that movie. In 2015, Impact a little pay-per-view called Bound for Glory took place. Bound for Glory 2015. Yeah, in opening the match, Tegra Uno defeated Andrew Everett, DJZ, and Manic. Ultimate X match for the TNA X Division Championship. Tires run by eliminating Mr. Anderson. 12-man Bound for Glory Gauntlet match. The winner could choose any championship match of their choice. The Wolves, Dave Richards and Ed Edwards, defeated Brian Myers and Trevor Lee in tag team match for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. Bobby Roode defeated Bobby Lashley for the singles match for the TNA King of the Mountain Championship. Gail Kim defeated Awesome Crown singles match for TNA Knockouts Championship. Kurt Angle defeated Eric Young by submission in career threatening match. And Matt Hardy defeated Ethan Carter III and Drew Galloway three-way match for TNA World Championship with Jeff Hardy as special guest referee. Yeah. Now we go to the next day, October the 5th. Yesterday. Yesterday was a happy birthday to 60s. It was a happy 59th birthday to Terry Reynolds, the ex-husband of the ex-wife of Dustin Reynolds, but some of you know is Goldust, and Cody Rhodes is and the step sister of Cody Rhodes, and Jacqueline Wilder turned 39 yesterday. Now let's see. Let's see. Let's see what else. On Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. That same day, October 5th, 1985. Hog Society. The episodes are Hog Society and Wrestling Roommates. As cousin was waiting to rich man Jim and his pet pig Little Bell called Shovel with their hillbilly style. Captain Lou comes to stay with Hulk Hogan for a while, but sloppy habits and attempts to help out around the place drive Hulk Hogan crazy. And on Mullah's Ugly Sublime and Ballad Boneheads, Mullah and Nikolai help out a Billy salon that is run by Mullah's sister. Hulk and his crew help an honest politician run against a corrupt mayor. Let's see what else. And on WWF Championship Wrestling, same day, October 5th, 1985, Big John Studd and King Kong Bundy defeated Jim Powers and Special Larry Jones. King Tonga defeated AJ Peruzzi. Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim Neidhart, the Hart Foundation with Master Jimmy Hart would defeated Salvatore Blum and Tony Gurria. Missing Look with Jimmy Hart defeated Max Saxon. The British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid defeated the Dream Team, Bruce the Barber Beefcake, Greg the Hammer Valentine with Johnny V. by DQ to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship. See what else. Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main event. Yeah, this is the night. This is the episode with the wedding of Uncle Elmer. I know a friend of mine from Pittsburgh remembers that. Yeah, Hulk Hogan defeated Nikolai Volkov with Fred Blassie in a flag match for the WWE title. Uncle Elmer with Hillbilly Jim and Cousin Junior defeated Jerry Valiant. Paul Owner versus Roddy Piper ended in a double countout. Andre Giant and Tony Gonzalez with Lou Albano defeated King Kong Bundy, Big John Studd with Bobby Rahim by DQ. Team the Jing Ching Bruce Bobby Beefcake and Greg Bruce Bobby Beefcake and Bruce Bobby Beefcake and Greg Hammer Van with Johnny Valiant defeated Lenny Poffo and Tony Gurria in a tag team match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. See All Star Wrestling. Well, I think you'll see Randy Savage defeat Unknown Person, Killer Bees defeat Unknown Tag Team, Ricky Dragon Steamboat defeat Unknown Tag Team, Unknown Wrestler, Young Junior Giants defeat Unknown Wrestler, Nikolai Bakov and Iron Sheik defeat Unknown Tag Team Wrestlers. And on on Saturday and on Monday Night Raw, heading up to Hell in a Cell. Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton and Roman Reigns defeated Wwe Wyatt Wyatt family, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper. Sheamus defeated Neville. Natalia defeated Paige by submission. Kevin Owens defeated Sin Cara with Kalisto. The other boys defeated Kane and Seth Rollins by DQ. Team Bad and Diamond and Sasha Banks to me defeated Team Bella by submission. John Cena defeated Big E to retain the U.S. title. Big Show confronted Brock Lesnar and Ambrose, and let's see what else. Seth Rollins confronted Kane that night. And John Cena and Roman Reigns honored breast cancer survivors. And Summer Rae proposed to Rusev. Now let's go to next night, October 7th. Um, 30 years ago today, we lost a wrestler named Jay York. It's unknown what he died of. Rhino turns 50 years old today. Caitlyn turns 39 today. Aiden English turns 38 today. And Terry Orndorff, younger brother of Paul Orndorff, he turns 74 today. Let's see what else. Let's see. Seattle Sounders defeated the Detroit Lions 13-10. Okay, on Monday night, another piece of sports on Monday Night Football. ABC's Monday Night Football, October 6, 1975, the Dallas Cowboys defeated Detroit Lions 36-10. And here's some little pop culture, some movies released in theaters on this day, October 6, 1995. A movie called Assassins, one of my favorite movies starring Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas, and Julianne Moore, was released in theaters. And on Total Divas, there's no episode of Total Divas on this day. I'm sorry. Season premiere is September 29th, 2015. I'm sorry. So that'll do for my podcast for tonight. So subscribe to me, God, for the Soul Doom Slamming. Hope I have a good night. As a late chair hand shower, say like dress up a chubby checker, dance like John Richard, dance like James Brown, like to get in the hot tub, help me sweat. Gonna be dry, gonna be wet. Referring to Eddie Murphy doing an impression of James Brown on Saturday Night Live. I never grew up in the 80s, I grew up in the 90s, so I always saw reruns of old school Saturday Night Live when I was little on Comedy Central. Okay, I was finished up with a little interruption there. I never, like I said, I never grew up in the 80s, I grew up in the 90s watching old school watching Saturday Night Live on Comedy Central. I never grew up in the 80s, I grew up in the 90s, so I saw reruns of old school Saturday Night Live when I was little. So that would do it for my show. Hope all of you good nights, midnights, 12:03. I'm out of here. Peace. And no music. Sorry.